Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you the system I've installed to monitor my 3D printers on my computer. As you can see on my browser, here I have my Ender 3 V2 and here I have my Ender 3 Pro, so I can monitor both on my computer using my browser. I can also monitor the power supply. I can turn them off. For example, presently my Ender 3 V2 is on. I can use my phone to turn it off. When I press the button, it turns off. When I press again, it turns on. And the same thing with my Ender 3 Pro. It is on. When I press the button on my cell phone, it turns off. It's off. And when I press again, it turns on. I can turn both printers on and off on my cell phone, using my cell phone. I can also turn the light on and off. I have the light here. If I press the button here, it is off. When I press again, it is on. Okay, I'm going to show you how I did all this. For the material needed, you have a 4-channel relay. I'm using a 4-channel relay because I'm using 4 sockets. Wemos D1 ESP Wi-Fi module. You can use any Wi-Fi module, but I'm using a Wemos D1 for my project. You also need jumper wires to connect your module and the relays. A box into which I'll place the relay and the module, the Wi-Fi module. You will need bolts and nuts to keep them tight on the box. You need a tablet or cell phone or webcam just to be able to monitor your printers from your browser. You need a multiple socket outlet. I'm using this one with 5 outlets. You also need a set of screwdrivers, a wire stripper and pliers, a hot glue gun and some tape, my Dremel tools, a drill and a set of drill bits. Here is the wire. You'll have the picture in the download section. First thing I do, I cut my box to be able to place the Wi-Fi module, cut some holes for the cable and power supply. Here it is done. I have my module Wi-Fi, that is my Wi-Fi module that is installed on my box. Now next step is to place my relay shield. Here I have a 4-channel relay. I'm going to place it on the box. I'll use also my drill and Dremel tools to install it in the box. Here is the job. I have my relay and my Wi-Fi module placed in the box. Next step, I hook up the wiring. I connect my relays to my Wi-Fi module. Here is the connection, the wiring. Okay, here I have my box with the Wi-Fi module, the relay and all the wiring. Okay, now I'm going to add the wires to the relays, the wires that I will connect to the outlet. Okay, all the wiring is complete now for the box. The relays are wired. Now time to take care of the outlet socket. So first thing, unplug everything and open it. Make sure you unplug your socket before doing anything. Okay, here I failed to take the videos, but the first thing I did is to cut one of the metal straps into 5 parts, one for each socket. Then I added the wires and then I'm going to glue it inside. I glue everything inside. Here it is. I cut this into 5 parts, this metal part into 5 parts, and one for each socket. Now I finished gluing everything. I can close the socket now. Now I can connect the socket to the box with the relay and the Wi-Fi module. Now the socket is ready, as well as the Wi-Fi module and the relays. Now next step, open your Blink app on the Android, create new project. I use my ESP8266. I give a name first to the project. I call it Power Control. This is the name of the project. I select my hardware. Here I'm using a Vimos D1. Okay, Vimos D1. I select it and I click on OK. Then connection tab, I choose Wi-Fi and then click on Create. Now it is created and an offer token was sent to my email address. Now I go to my mailbox to find that token, read the token. Then I copy the code, I copy the author token, and I paste it into my Arduino program. Now I open my Arduino program. In the heading there is the author token. I copy it there, I paste, and then I come back to my Blink app on the cell phone, on Android, and I create a new button. I click on add button. I add 4 buttons for my 4 sockets. Then I personalize each button. For example, here I choose button number 1 and I label it light, because this is the button that is devoted to the light. I call it light. Then the type of button, push or switch, I choose switch, because this is the switch button. For the text, or I can leave it as such, it's not a big deal. You can change it anytime you want. You can leave it like that. Now I need to hook this button to a pin of the Wi-Fi module. Okay. For that I click on pin. When I click on pin, I have the list of pins. Now I have decided to hook it to D3, to pin D3. I choose D3, I highlight digital pin 3 and I click on OK. Then I choose another button, the second button. I call it, for example, Ender 3 Pro. Ender 3 Pro. I choose the pin number, it's digital pin 4, that is D4. I select D4 and I click on OK. I change from push to switch button. All the rest I can leave it as such. That's done for this button. Button number 3. I do the same for all buttons. I give a name to the button. I select a pin to which I hook up the button, and then I choose the type of button, whether it is switch or push button. This one is for the Ender 3 V2. It is hooked to pin number 5. I select pin D5. I select digital 5, then I click OK. I shift from push to switch, it's the switch button. And that's okay for this button. Now let's set up the last button, the first button number 4. I will call it other. Then I hook it up to pin number 6, D6. D6, I select D6 and I click on OK. I turn it into a switch button instead of a push button. And it's done for this button too. Now I can reorganize all my buttons and so on. So I can resize, reorganize everything according to my preferences. Okay, now I come back to my Arduino sketch and I upload it to my Wi-Fi module. I connect my Wi-Fi module, then I choose the port number and then I upload the sketch to the Wi-Fi module. Here it is compiling. First it is compiling the program. to check whether there are errors or not. Now it's uploading. It is done uploading. Now I can return to my box and check my Wi-Fi module. Okay, here is the final product. Here I have my box with the Wi-Fi module and relays. Here I have my power supply. This one is related to relay number 4, this one to relay number 3, this one to relay number 2, this one to relay number 1, and this one is always powered. It is related to no relay, so it is always powered, and it allows me to plug in my tablet to monitor my prints. So I'm going to show you how it works. Okay, first I go to my cell phone and I open my Arduino folder, which is here, the Arduino folder. Then I open my Blink app. Then I click once here to activate, and then as you can see it is connected. Now here if I want to turn on the light, I click on the button with the light. It is marked light here. Let's turn on the light. The light is on. Okay, as you can see the light is on. Let's turn off. It turns off. I press again, it turns on. Okay, now if I want to turn my Ender-Tree V2 on, I press on the button Ender-Tree V2, which is here, and I press. See, it's turned on automatically. If I press again, it's turned off. Let's go to the Ender-Tree Pro. I press on the button here, Ender-Tree Pro. It's on. And I press again, it's off. And here, in order to monitor my prints, I've used my older tablet connected to IP webcam. Then I come to my browser and I just write down the IP address. Here, if you look carefully, you see the IP address 192.168.18.8080, and that's what I'm going to write here. I type in the IP address and I press enter. Then for video render, I press on browser, and here is from here I can monitor my printers on my computer. And when the prints are ready, are done, I can turn off all the printers. Okay, I can monitor all my printers. Now I can see that the Ender-Tree Pro is on. And once it is done, I can turn it off by pressing the button. It's off. I can monitor all my printers from here. And when everything is done, I turn them off, and I can also turn the light off by pressing the button. The light is off. I can turn it on again.